All right, let's just get right into it. For, what, 80 years? We've all seen Batman as this lone wolf, right? The ultimate hero fighting this never-ending war on evil. Well, today, we're going to take that whole idea and just toss it. We're about to look at Batman through a completely new psychological lens, and trust me, it changes everything.
So, I want you to start with this one. Simple question. What if Batman's whole crusade, his endless war on crime, what if it isn't actually about winning? I mean, what if, deep down, on a level he doesn't even understand, he actually needs his enemies to survive? This question right here is the key that's going to unlock the entire Batman story for us in a way you've probably never seen before.
And that leads us to this, just wild thesis from our source material. A writer named Ryan Collison put it this way: Batman doesn't have enemies, he has a rotating cast of intimate partners. Yeah, I know, right? It's a shocking thing to say, but I'm telling you, once you start to see it this way, you can't unsee it.
Okay, so how do we even start to unpack that? Well, we need a new framework for this, and it's called the polycule theory. And look, this isn't just some clever metaphor. It's a real structured way to analyze Batman's mind by seeing his entire gallery of villains not as enemies, but as this big, messy, codependent family.
And the main tool we're going to use to understand this family is something called attachment theory. Now, this isn't some made-up comic book science. It's a real psychological model that therapists use all the time to understand the deep, kind of hidden patterns that drive all of our relationships. We're just taking that same powerful lens and pointing it right at Gotham City.
So here's the absolute core of the idea. Batman's famous rogues gallery? It's not a random list of bad guys he has to fight. No, it's a carefully constructed system of relationships. A whole web of attachments that, without even realizing it, he depends on to just keep himself together.
And if you look here, we can actually start to map out these psychological roles. It's fascinating. The Joker, he's not just the arch nemesis, he represents a trauma bond. Catwoman, not just an on-again, off-again girlfriend, she's his avoidant mirror. Heck, even Alfred plays a role here as an enabler. Now, for this deep dive, we're going to zero in on the two most important ones, and we have to start with the Joker.
All right, case file number 1, the Joker. This is the big one, right? It's the question every fan has asked forever. Why doesn't Batman just kill him? You know, finally end all that chaos? Well, this attachment theory, it gives us an answer that's really powerful, and honestly, kind of disturbing.
So the way we usually see it is pretty straightforward. They're mortal enemies, good versus evil, the whole deal. But the attachment view just flips that on its head. It says they aren't really enemies at all. They're partners in something psychologists call a trauma bond.
So what in the world is a trauma bond? Well, think of it as this super intense, really unhealthy connection that's built on shared pain, on dysfunction. And man, does that not perfectly describe Batman and the Joker? For them, the conflict is the relationship. That's the whole point. They can never truly defeat each other because on some deep, twisted level, they actually complete each other. They need that fight to feel like themselves.
And this weird attachment pattern, it doesn't just stop with the Joker. Let's open up the next case file, Selina Kyle. Catwoman. I mean, she is the definition of an it's complicated relationship status, right? Is she a bad guy, a good guy, his girlfriend? This theory says she's something else entirely.
So let's do that same comparison again. The conventional view, it's this hot and cold, on-again, off-again romance. We all know it. But the attachment view, it sees a very clear, very specific pattern. It calls her his avoidant mirror.
And this just nails the problem perfectly. Both Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle are textbook avoidance. Basically, they desperately want to be close to someone, but they're absolutely terrified of being vulnerable, of true intimacy. So what happens? They get stuck in this endless push and pull dance. They get close, then they get scared, then they pull away. And repeat, forever. That instability we always see, it's not a bug in their relationship, it's the main feature.
Okay, so we've looked at a couple of the key relationships here, but now let's zoom out. Let's look at the big picture. How does this whole network, this whole, let's be honest, dysfunctional family, how does it actually work as a survival system for Bruce Wayne?
Well, according to this theory, the system does a few crucial things for him. First, it gives him a way to feel connected, a weird kind of intimacy, without ever having to be truly vulnerable. Second, it constantly reinforces who he thinks he is, the protector, the dark knight. It also gives him a purpose that he can count on, every single night. And maybe the biggest one of all, it keeps him so busy, so focused on putting out these fires, that he never, ever has to turn around and actually deal with the horrible trauma that made him Batman in the first place.
And this brings us to what might be the most powerful idea in this whole explainer. Look, the death of his parents, that's his origin story, for sure. We all know it. But this theory argues it's this ongoing, complicated web of relationships that really explains who Batman is today. His identity isn't just defined by something that happened when he was a kid. It's defined by the messy, dysfunctional system he chooses to maintain, night after night.
Which leaves us with one last, really provocative question to chew on. Is Batman actually cleaning up Gotham? Is he a hero saving his city? Or is he just a man, trapped in a cycle, who's basically managing his own dysfunctional family drama out on the city streets? It really makes you think, doesn't it?